We've really reached a plateau in terms of safety performance. To really make a breakthrough to zero harm, in other words, zero fatalities, we need to break through the current safety plateau that we're on. Now, those of you with mining industry experience will know the difference between a serious injury and a fatality is normally just a bit of luck. So instead of the rock falling on your shoulder, it falls on your head. That's the difference between, that's the difference in luck. So you were standing slightly to the right, slightly to the left. So we must be cognizant that small changes in industry performance, such as 8 additional fatalities, could well just be noise in the numbers. It's not a regression in safety, in my view. And my view is, unless we break through this plateau, we're just going to oscillate around the sort of numbers that we've reached. The other thing is, just about every fatality that we have, that we've investigated, is simply a breaking of the rules. It's non-compliance to well-established standards, well-established procedures, and employees are well-trained. Our employees understand this business. They understand the conditions they work in. They are at the front of the business. They see these conditions, and in fact they accept them, and that is part of the problem. And unless we change those attitudes, which are attitudes of accepting unnecessary risk, we're not going to make any further difference to I believe, the safety trajectory. Our employees are mostly unionized. 90+% of our employees are unionized. And to me, that says to me that unions actually have a responsibility and a role to play. And instead of standing on the sidelines criticizing, they're part of the problem. And we are at a point where management on its own cannot make the difference that needs to be made. That's a fact. The DMR, and we know that there's been hidden agendas in the past, but I'm very pleased to say I believe that'll change, also has a critical role to play. So this is not something that you can just blame business or management. This is a stakeholder issue that is required, and unless all stakeholders step up to the plate, we're not going to make a difference to our safety. And I have to say that if we are at a point where people's attitudes are resulting in accidents and we can't solve that, then I'm not sure we can mine. There's huge knock-on consequences, and probably the only time I've ever agreed with Joseph Matunja is we need to get together and we need to talk about this. So a call to action for a common purpose towards zero harm. We can all see the positive changes that have occurred in South Africa. There's very visible indications of the right things, but more importantly, it's what you don't see that encourages me, and that is that there's lots of informal interaction with business to understand the challenges, to rectify issues that are causing problems, and to work together. That hasn't happened, I'm told, in the last 10 years, but I can tell you from my own personal experience that hasn't happened in 5 years, the last 5 years. That to me is what's not visible, that is so positive in my view. And Sibanye-Stillwater will certainly play its way in being constructive, creating momentum. We have made some big moves in South Africa, I would argue much more than anyone else, and clearly the biggest improvement in our share price is going to come from the sort of changes that you're seeing in South Africa. So it's a business imperative for us as well, not just as proud South Africans, but as Sibanye-Stillwater, to make sure that we play our role in ensuring that these changes that we're seeing are sustainable and happen in the right way.
Mining and income tax. Everybody of you are aware of the mining tax reforms that we've seen in the US. That was announced on the 22nd of December. And effectively what that does for us is it reduces the federal corporate income tax rate from 35% down to 21%. This rate change has the effect that it brings down our deferred tax liability going into the future by $205 million. So that is the number that we expect to pay less going forward. On a rand equivalent, that's 2.5 billion rand.
The integration of Rustenburg exceeded our expectations. We said 800 million rand of synergistic cost savings would be realized over 3 years. We've done just over R1 billion in 14 months. Gold operations. Gold, we did a lot of restructuring last year, not because we knew there was a strong rand coming, but we had some loss-making business units, and as we've said, we cannot run loss-making business units, and it's very fortuitous that we took the challenge last year, even while we were doing sensitive things like integrating Rustenburg. We dealt with the loss-making operations, and we're now very well positioned to sustain a strong rand environment.